First of all, I'd like to remind ourselves that we have 6 people here who are going to pedal the show. So every now and then, if I feel that they're slacking, because I need to watch some of the technical sides of this, I might say work harder, but it's also a little bit of reminder from yourselves that maybe just remember that this is not a free lunch. You're not couch potatoes today. You're actually active participants in the creation of your own energy. So without further ado, I'd like to just go on a little bit to just explain a little bit of who Stop Climate Chaos are. We're a coalition of nearly 30 organizations who have come together around the issue of climate change. We're here today to review the IPCC report of Working Group 1, the physical science basis of climate change. Stop Climate Chaos is a coalition formed on 4 basic ideas. Our first is around the idea of an international agreement that binds governments internationally to keeping the rise in temperature below 2 degrees centigrade. Our second agreed action relates to Ireland's own role in preventing climate change and in creating solid framework of legislation within which we can actually steer our economy towards a low carbon trajectory. Our third call relates to the developing world and ensuring that there is access to additional appropriate and adequate resources to enable them to adapt to the current and future impacts of climate change. And our fourth act relates to the natural environment, and that natural environment considerations are included in all adaptation and mitigation measures within Ireland. So that's what binds our coalition together, and I think what's really exciting about the Stop Climate Coalition is that it is a diverse group of people who have come together around a hugely important issue of our time. We'd love to see this coalition become bigger and larger, to become an even more significant player within a national movement to recognise this huge concern. Today we have 2 speakers. We have Dr. John Sweeney and we have Oisin Coughlin, who are going to give us their view on the talk today on the IPCC's report. But for me, I want to explain to you first of all about this little system, and just to give you a quick idea of energy and how we often take it so much for granted. One person on a bicycle, an average human being like any of you, can produce in and around 80 watts of energy. Now, Lance Armstrong on exceptionally high doping drugs could get about 500 to 600 watts of power, but he's not a normal person to reckon against. Our hard-working average citizens here are producing around 80 watts each. Now, if you put that in context, a normal laptop computer comes in at around 80 watts. So that's one person to drive this computer here. That leaves me with 5 remaining to do the projector and the sound. But just looking at some other common household devices, something like a PlayStation and a TV, that combination alone at home would be in and around 8 to 10 people required to power those 2 items. So it puts it in context, I suppose, how we take this fossil energy so much for granted. The purpose of the talk today is really to house our climate conference and talk in that frame. To look at something more domestic like an electric kettle, that would require close on 40 people to boil a kettle. So more or less everyone in this room would need to be pedaling to just heat that kettle of water. If we take it to something even higher, like your power shower in the morning, that would need in and around 100 to 110 people pedaling to produce enough energy for that electric shower. Taking it to the absolutely ridiculous, the energy required to lift a Boeing 747 into the sky is close to 1.5 million human power to lift that device into the air. So without further ado, I'd like to now hand over to John Sweeney, Ireland's eminent climate scientist, to give his take on the IPCC's AR5 Working Group 1. Thank you very much, John.